Shalom, everybody, from Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls. Today I want to talk about something that a friend of mine sent me a question about just this morning, and it was something that I had been thinking about as well. She asked me about devotions. Now, frankly, the word devotions doesn't appeal to me a lot because there's a Greek term for it. The word is goyish. The term devotions doesn't feel very suitable to my Jewish bones, but it's the general term that people use for how they tank up spiritually before they leave the house. Now, I'm not going to talk to you about davening, about Jewish liturgical prayer, which is a very rich way of doing just that. I'm not going to talk to you about that now. I will sometime. Today I'm going to talk about something a little more accessible to most of you. And I want to give you a metaphor for understanding what goes on when we do our devotions. And the metaphor involves this image. This image, of course, is a sailing ship. And in a sense, your life, my life, is like a ship on the sea of life, or a boat, a sailboat, our personal sailboat, or even with our family on the sea of life. And devotions are something that has to do with how we navigate and travel in our particular sailboat in the midst of life. And I think this metaphor is going to help some of you to get better aim for what you do in the morning when you get ready for your day. So, the first thing you need for that sailboat is moorings. You need an anchor. Now, for us, in our devotional life, in our life with getting ready for the day in the presence of God, the anchor is Scripture. You and I should be reading Scripture every day. I can't emphasize that enough. There's no replacement for it, and it's not about getting informed. It's not simply about information. There's something a lot spookier about Scripture. It is a means by which we really learn about God in a deep way and in which we encounter Him. So the first thing we need is our moorings. We need Scripture. Otherwise, if we don't have that, we will be adrift in the midst of life. And your sailboat's not going anywhere if it's adrift. It's just kind of bobbing around out there, and you're wasting your life not going anywhere. That's not good. You need Scripture to give you your moorings, to know what you stand for, and things like that. Secondly, you need a direction. If you're going to have a meaningful life, you need a direction. I would suggest that in terms of your life doing what you do in the morning, three sources of direction are Scripture, first of all. Secondly, prayer. You ask God, God, what do you want me to do today? What do you want me to avoid? Who do you want me to call? God, what do you want from my day? I'm your servant. Speak, your servant is listening. You need Scripture, you need prayer, and tradition. Tradition is the wisdom of the community. Some of you are anti-tradition. That's very foolish. G.K. Chesterton said, why should our ancestors not have a vote simply because they're dead? You know, and the point is, that's the voice of tradition. The previous generations had a lot of wisdom that we ought to learn from. And so you need to keep that in mind as you make it through your day. If you don't have direction, you'll be aimless. That's a little related to being adrift, but someone who's adrift has no power at all. A person who is aimless has power, but it's useless because they don't know what to do with it. So you don't want to be adrift. You don't want to be aimless. You need moorings, you need Scripture, and you need direction from Scripture, from prayer, and through remembering the voice of tradition. One more. We need wind. In order for that sailboat to go, without wind, you're going nowhere. The wind that we need is the wind of the Spirit. This morning, I told God, Father, please fill my sails with the wind of your Spirit, because I've been kind of stuck lately, discouraged about certain things, waiting for certain things to pan out, and by the grace of God, God did breathe His wind into my sails. I didn't feel anything, But here, later in the day, I realized I've accomplished quite a bit for a day in which nothing much was going to be happening without the help of God. So you need the wind of the Spirit. You should pray for the wind of the Spirit. Otherwise, you'll be becalmed. Being becalmed is worse than being adrift. Being adrift, you're moving. Being becalmed, you're totally stuck, and you're not going anywhere. So, I hope I've helped you by giving you this metaphor of what your life with God in the morning should be about. It should be about getting your moorings in Scripture. It should be about getting direction from Scripture, from prayer, where you ask God what He wants you to do. You don't tell God where you want to go. You ask Him where He wants you to go, what He wants you to do. Prayer and tradition. And finally, you need, and I need, and we all need the wind of the Spirit in our sails, or nothing much is going to happen. I hope this helped you, because that's what we want to do here at Interfaithfulness, where we're building bridges, where history builds walls. May your life go somewhere this week and always with the help of God. Nothing could be better. Shalom for now. And by the way, Chag Sameach as Passover comes upon us. Bye-bye for now.